Now, you mentioned Germar Rudolph. Now, for your listeners, Germar Rudolph was a doctoral candidate in chemistry at the Max Planck Institute in Stuttgart, a brilliant young man, one of the finest institutions in Europe. And Germar Rudolph was asked by the defense team of a revisionist, not Zundel, not Irving, a different revisionist. Germar Rudolph was asked to do a chemical analysis of the Auschwitz supposed gas chamber walls. Now, Germar Rudolph did the analysis dutifully, published his results for the defense team, and Rudolph then found himself being prosecuted. Where this matters, Joshua, is whereas in Canada, Zundel was allowed to mount a full defense. In other words, Zundel was allowed to defend himself by saying, I'm right. But in Germany, under the laws in Germany, a person accused of being a Holocaust revisionist cannot argue actual innocence. That's not allowed. You're only allowed two defenses, either insanity. Oh, please don't put me in prison because I'm lunatic. I'm lunatic for saying that there were no gas chambers in Auschwitz. Or guilty and please go easy on me. Oh, gosh, I'm such a hater. I'm such an anti-Semite. Please don't put me in prison for more than 6 months. Those are the only things you're allowed. So when Germar Rudolph, a chemist, a scientist, was put on trial for his chemical analysis report, he was not allowed to say, but I'm right. And yet that's what he was. He was right, and that's what he wanted to plead. He wanted to say, but this is science, and this is the results I got, and I did the tests, and here's my work that you can duplicate if you want to. He wasn't allowed to plead that. So in Germany, we're talking about a full-on George Orwell, Aldous Huxley nightmare where you're not even allowed to plead actual innocence. You can plead insanity, or you can just throw yourself on the mercy of the court and ask for as little time as possible.
And we see lawyers like Sylvia Stoltz and others, when they try to defend their clients, they sometimes themselves are accused of and thrown in prison for so-called hate speech or inciting genocide or defaming the dead. That we see lawyers themselves criminalized for trying to do what a lawyer is supposed to do, which is mount the best case for their clients.
Yeah, that's why this is such a through-the-looking-glass kind of nightmare. Lawyers cannot even mount an honest defense for their client for fear of going to prison themselves. And one example that I like to give in these interviews, you may remember, some of your listeners may remember, back in the 90s, when a female tennis player named Monica Seles was squaring off against Steffi Graf. They were the two top seed players in female tennis. And a German fellow in the stands who did not want to see Monica Seles win because Monica Seles was Serbian, of Serbian descent, and Steffi Graf was German. So this German fellow jumped out of the stands and plunged a butcher knife into Monica Seles's back and ruined her tennis career. Thankfully, she didn't die, but she was permanently disabled. That guy got off on time served